Hello, welcome to Pendulum Friday for October 4th. I don't know how we got to October. I really don't. Um, just very quickly, if you are not, if you are subscribed but you haven't hit the notification bell, it's very possible that yesterday on Thursday, you may have missed the fact that I released a second video. So the first video that was released in the morning was a channeled message with regards to the energies of October. And the one afterwards, it was released mid-afternoon Mountain Daylight Time, um, titled "So What? What?" That is about the release of the redacted brief, the Jack Smith brief, that Judge Chutkin allowed to be released. And there are some really shocking, um, it's really shocking information in there. And some of it confirms what, people knew or suspected. So I'm just saying, if you don't have the notification bell clicked, you might want to do that because that way, when I do that bizarre thing, like drop a second video in a day, you'll get the notification for it. I can't chit chat. We have tons of questions today, so I'm just going to try to zip through and get through them. All right, here we go. For anybody new, really quick, um, Pendulum, please show me yes. Show me no. Are you ready to work? Go side to side. And what happens if you don't have an answer or it's none of our business? Just go still. The response time of this pendulum is very, very quick. I think part of it just has to do with the fact that it literally has such a short chain. But also, I've been using it for years. And so there's a really strong connection. Here we go. One Canadian question. Um, Okay, the question is any insights about the future of Rob Ford? Okay, so that's not a yes no question. So let's do it this way. Is Rob Ford going to um, be reelected again? Okay, no. Sorry, I'm not clear on when the next election in Ontario is, but okay. Will the conflict in the Middle East miraculously settle down or stop after the US election in November? Okay, that's a no. I think that Netanyahu and Trump maybe have something going on there, and Netanyahu's dragging things out or making things worse so that Trump can save the day once he's elected. But he's not going to be elected, and so he's not going to save the day. And so, but it looks like it's going to go on for a while yet. Will Netanyahu serve as Prime Minister of Israel until, which I guess is the end of his term, December 2025? Apparently not. Have the conflicts in the Middle East and also Ukraine been inflamed by Trump selling state secrets? I'm getting a yes on that. Will Trump go away if he loses in November? We are tired of him. Will Trump's energy, power, the attention being paid to him diminish after he loses in November? Yeah, I think by then. Now, the caveat to that, the type saying, is that's when all the trials are going to start. So he's not going to go away, but he sure as heck is going to be, not a candidate for president, but a defendant. Okay, will you read on Trump's health in the month of October? I will get to that. I just saw Trump raise $2 million for hurricane victims. Um, is that money? Is Is any of that money? No, that's not what I want to ask. Is Trump going to absorb the bulk of the money that was raised for hurricane victims? Well, of course he is. Of course, of course. What's the plan to get the Republican Party to get Donald in and then do the 25th Amendment? This was actually covered in the video of October Energy. What I said then was, it's not the Republican Party who has the plan. It is like the Heritage Fund and those groups. They're both the big, big donors. That's their plan. And if I remember correctly, it was sort of like about if he got into office, which he's not going to, but if he did, sort of about 6 months, right? What would happen is they would start almost like a campaign. Oh, this is new information. Thanks. They would start like a campaign against Trump to try to diminish or weaken the robust attraction that MAGA people have to him. And from there, they would then come up with a really good reason to use the 25th, and he would be removed. I know it's an interesting thing because it's not so much that Trump wouldn't go along with everything, the whole Project 2025 thing. I mean, he's not oblivious to what that is. In fact, by and large, he really likes it because it really does, complement his desire to be a dictator. But the problem is that he's not smart. And so at some point that ultimately would be used against him. He's not controllable. Will Mike Pence testify against Donald Trump in 2025? Yes. And he had a lot to say in the brief that was filed by Jack Smith, including the fact that now this wasn't actually from Pence, involves Pence. Apparently, there was a staffer that sort of went running into the Oval Office and said, Mr. President, Mike Pence has been removed to a secure location because, people are threatening his life. And to which Trump replied, so what? He's the head of the Longshoremen's Union, being paid by Donald Trump to cause interference with the election. No. Now, let's just rephrase that a little bit. Is the longshoremen's strike, has that been timed to impact the election or force a fast settlement so it doesn't impact the election? Was that was the timing part of their calculation? Yes. Yes. Will Trump's GoFundMe account be removed due to the statement relating to fees that he will recover for administrative purposes? What did we just talk about? Okay, so is it actually going to be removed? That looks like a yes. Will Ivanka Trump have her father committed to a mental institution? I don't even know if there's actually still mental institutions around. And that was part of the problem, right? When a lot of the facilities that were available to people having those kinds of problems, they were eliminated. And a lot of the weight of that sort of fell onto the police department, who frankly are not trained or well equipped to deal with that. And that's where there sort of seemed to be, I don't know, just like an escalation of things not being handled very well. or people reacting in very extreme ways. Um, before the end of the year? Okay, no. And I'll tell you beyond that, she is not going to also have him committed to a mental institution or any other kind of facility. Does Donald Trump harbor any ill feelings about the way he was reared by his parents? No. He, particularly to his dad, um, attributes his success, his strength, his business savvy to his dad. Talk about delusional. Um, but 45 Son advised him to endorse JD Vance, especially Junior. I bet they're in the doghouse. Okay, so pendulum. Is Trump annoyed or irritated or mad um, towards his sons for the JD Vance recommendation? Is he unhappy with his sons? Yep, he is. Will Trump's sexual accusers ever get their day in court? Okay, this is really broad. All right. So the sexual accuser that we know of and move forward was E. Jean Carroll, and she's absolutely had her day in court. I mean, getting the money might be something, but she's had her day in court. I am unaware of other outstanding court cases that are currently pending against Trump that contain sexual allegations. I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch the question because I don't actually think there's anything out there. Okay. Somebody wants to know, this is about the lack of signs and banners for the Republican Party. Have they abandoned the implied violence of the red color? I know that they're saying that they're shifting to blue. I don't know. Maybe they think that people are going to confuse some of confuse them with the Democrats whose color is blue. Okay, so do they recognize the color red as in sort of an implied violence? No. They see, thank you, they see the color red as vibrant and strong. Do they hope the name recognition will overcome the R next to their names in the polls? So are they hoping for name recognition helping them in terms of acquiring votes? To some degree. And I'm being told there are going to be more than one instance where that name recognition actually works against them. The Gallego Lake matchup. I'm sure he's in that state with her. Her name recognition of Lake is not going to be good. Colin Aldred going against Tim Cruz, another situation where Aldred's doing good, and even like I said, it feels like in some cases there's actually going to be a negative connotation. Okay, somebody wants to know about Vance's wife. This is not, there's no yes, no questions in here, so I may take a look at that separately as a reading. Did Vance's debate performance please Trump? Okay, yes, it did, for a very, very short period of time, because before he could even really get into gloating about it, the brief was released. So it sort of diminished any joy he was having about Vance and his perception that Vance did a good job, which we all know he did not. Will Mark Ellis and his legal team be successful in stopping the actions of 45 and his sycophants in terms of not counting the votes? And I'm going to expand that, and the other legal maneuvering that is going to be attempted or is in position by the Republicans. Is Mark Ellis and his team going to be able to combat that? Okay, yes. And is the Ellis team at large going to have many, many more successes than they'd have losses? Okay, so yes. Okay, so a question about the brief that was released, and somebody basically wants to know if this is going to affect the outcome of the election. Okay, that's yes. And again, if you did not see the video, the the sorry, my head went blank. The so what video? If you haven't seen that, that addresses that in more detail. Well, all of these various events work to create an even wider margin of votes in favor of the Harris-Walz win. Okay, yes. Is that also going to help their races in the House and the Senate in the upcoming election? Yes. Are Harris and Walz going to be taking the oath of office on January 20th, 2025? Yes, of course they are. Okay, somebody wants to know about if the margin will be as large or larger than Obama's first win. You know what they're saying right now? The energy is just swirling. There's too much. Yes, it's going to be a bigger win, they're telling me, than this whole close race that everybody's talking about. But with this brief dropping and the success of the debate and the fact that on the you know I record these on Thursday, you see them on Friday morning. So Kamala's in somewhere on Thursday, and she's going to be joined at her rally by Liz Cheney. So there's a lot going on that's not being reported, that isn't being seen. There's a lot of silent voters out there, and that's going to create bigger margins and this sort of surprising blue wave. But this is asking a very specific question in terms of, this or more than in terms of numbers. That can't be answered, but generally, yes. Okay, voting by those who have lost homes and loved ones to disaster. That's probably the last thing on their minds. Will their inability to vote or their not voting affect the election outcome? First of all, let's all just send some white light, some love, some support to all of the people who have been impacted and affected by that hurricane and the path of destruction. Which reminds me, I'll get to this question in a second. Before that hurricane hit, somebody asked a question about the pendulum, is if it was going to be a really destructive storm. And the pendulum said no. So somebody said to me, explain that. How does that make sense? There's two answers for that. One is that the path of a hurricane is not as predictable as we kind of think it should be or it is, nor is there crystal clarity on the impact it's going to have and the damage it's going to cause based on its path. So, in that way, the pendulum, honestly, it should have just given a non answer, um, because this was a very, very destructive hurricane. So, part of it is there wasn't, the events were too fluid for the pendulum to answer really accurately. The other part of that is, and those of you out there who use pendulums may have had the same experience. There are times when questions are asked of the pendulum, and the answer might or could very well end up causing panic, harm, that kind of panic, sort of stressed energy. And so the pendulum will, I don't want to say give an incorrect answer, but they will err on the side of caution, I guess. There are questions in my own life that I have asked and said, the pendulum is this or this, yes or no. And I'll get a no, and then it's a yes, or a yes, and then it's a no. But the questions invariably are incredibly emotionally charged because the answer is really, really important. That's the best I can give you. Okay. Now, let's just start this out. Are those places, those states, and those areas, are they going to be set up in such a way or sorted out in such a way that those people who wish to vote will be able to vote? Okay, so that's a yes, right? So the implication is that by and large, the voting apparatus is going to be in place. Um, and will sorting that out delay the finality of the election? Um, in North Carolina, at this point, a very, very small yes, almost a non-answer. In Georgia, nope. Florida, no. There's also been a lot of chat about, oh, well, if this happens and that happens, then the January 6th date for certifying the election, that's just going to have to get moved. And well, maybe the inauguration is going to take place, I don't know, like in February sometimes. You can't do that according to the United States Constitution. Those dates are like set in concrete. The only thing that I can think that would change that would be some sort of a joint, um, sort of almost like temporary amendment that would have to be like not just a bare 50-50 pass to adjust the date in this one election. I don't even think they'd be able to do that because one side or the other is going to scream. So that's not a thing. And again, energetically, you're wanting to put out the energy that there isn't going to be a delay with the answers of who won the election. The voting system is going to be protected, and there will not be any outside interference. Like again, this is one of those instances where it's really important that you just keep your thoughts really, really positive. Will damning information come out in 2025 about SCOTUS corruption that will result in some justices leaving? Yes. Will CNN's horrible softball Trump coverage end when Trump loses the election? Yes. Is he threatening CNN management and some of their anchors? I don't know if he is or isn't. I know he's threatening like ABC because he's mad at them. Okay, the answer to this is not right now. Okay, if there was a lawsuit filed, we would know about it, and he's kind of got his hands full, so he's not. Um, will the U.S. government provide funds to care for trees for property owners and incentives to plant them? How clever! That's a yes. Somebody wants to know if I can talk to Mother Earth and ask what she needs. Um, And so I'm going to make a note of that and attempt to do a reading on it. Okay, it's vote impacting voting. We already established no. Will port workers be on strike for a long time? Okay, so our port workers going to be on strike for longer than 21 days? No. Are we getting a stimulus check soon? Okay, that's looking like a small yes. Um, I don't know what soon is. And I don't know what the restrictions may or not be connected to getting the check. Um, can karma be magnetic? If we continuously get activated, fearful, and angry by the mega world, does this attach our karma to theirs somehow? Okay. The short answer to that is it doesn't attach it to them unless there have been like direct relationships, interactions of some significance. But what it does do is it lowers your own vibration, and you may find that upon a life review, you recognize that you were given a lot of chances to shift your thoughts into something more healing and powerful and positive, and did not. Then that can become something that you decide you need to work on in another lifetime. All right, that's it. This is like 28-minute long video. It's Friday. Do something really nice for yourself and somebody else. Take good care until I see you next week. And for anybody who has missed the videos that have been released this week, I encourage you to go take a peek at them. Until next time, take care and be well. Bye bye for now.